So new runes have been data mined for Phase 2 of Season of Discovery, and we're going to go over them one by one for each of the specs, and we're going to also do our tier list one by one, healer, tank, and DPS, each one that's separate, so that we can get our final tier list before we go into Phase 2 for Nomergon. This is going to be a progression tier list, not a farm tier list, so it's going to be mostly for people that are going to be killing it on the first reset rather than people who are killing it in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it is. Once people have like figured out the raid completely, know what's good and bad, and etc. like that. This is mostly speculation based on the runes that we know, how things are doing now, and how we expect them to do in Phase 2. So with that said, this is going to be the healer tier list for progression in Nomergon. So first off, we are going to be starting off with our S tier, which is going to be consisting of our Discipline Priest and our Resto Druid. The reason that these are going to be our best is because if you look at the trees and the runes that we have gotten, Discipline is going to be great for healing. It brings amazing utility in Divine Spirit, improved power word shield, improved power word fortitude, and obviously power infusion. Gets some nice mana for mental strength. It has a inner focus for a free heal. It's just looking overall really, really good. In terms of the runes that we're getting, it's not the best in terms of the waste rune. We'll get some Empower Renew. It's not bad. It's not what we would love, but it's what we get. And in our feat slot, we have actually 2 different options. We have Dispersion, if we're just not really that too worried on healing and we'd rather have more mana. We can use this to regenerate mana. And let's say there's a big tank buster mechanic. Well, we have Pain Suppression, which is going to be, I think, really, really useful if that ends up being the case. And I think it's kind of quite likely. And because of that, I think discs are pretty much necessary for Nomergon. And it's why they're in S tier. Because Pain Suppression was added in some things that they said on Twitter, hinting towards Nomergon and how the raid is going to work, and including in the videos, I think Pain Suppression is going to be insanely good and necessary to be brought. For our Resto Druid, if we go over and look at their talents, including just stuff that they're getting, for their runes, obviously they're going to be bringing Wild Growth, but otherwise, honestly, they're really just going to be building pretty much just like a balanced Druid. And because of that, they're going to be dishing out a lot of damage while also being able to bring their healing through Wild Growth, because Wild Growth is actually just cracked. For progression, I suggest that you run the Restoration tree, but like once farm comes around, I could totally see them literally just running the balance tree and just running as like a balanced Druid, quote unquote, with Wild Growth. But in terms of progression, which is what this tier list is for, they bring Wild Growth, they bring really good damage, they're going to be bringing Tranquility, Nature Swiftness, which is insane. They get Swiftman finally. It's going to be a really good healer. And it's going to pair very well with Disc Priest, because Disc Priest will be able to do Bending healing, Penance healing, while you get to do Wild Growth, and you're going to keep your entire group completely fine, while also being able to dish out great damage at the same time. In terms of our A tier is going to be Arcane. The reason being is if we go to the Arcane tree, they're going to get some nice talents. They get the mana regeneration while casting, which is what they're going to be doing a lot. They get more mana. They get a pretty much instant cast spell every 3 minutes. Bit more damage, nice little arcane power spell. But mostly what we're looking at is our Missile Barrage and Chronostatic Preservation, or Spell Power, whichever one you want to take. Along with our current stuff, which is Living Flame, Regeneration, and Arcane Blast. So part of the reason is because they're going to be doing a ton of damage while also being able to heal. However, because you're taking Living Flame, you have the option of going Mass Regeneration, but they typically don't do so. So you're really going to be competing for that single target healing kind of a position. So you're really competing with Holy Paladin, kind of with this priest, but not really, because this kind of does both of them. And because of that, you're going to be in the A tier, because we don't believe there's going to be a boatload of single target healing in these 10-man raiding environments. Once we get further into like 40-man raids, if there's a 20-man raid, then yeah, I think there's going to be a lot harder on tanks, and we're going to need a single target healer. You're going to be more competitive. But because of Missile Barrage, Crossfire Preservation, and you're just pumping out damage, you're going to be doing really nice single target heals when you need them, and you're just going to be doing straight up good damage. But because you're pretty much purely single target, unless you choose to go Mass Regeneration, which costs a ton of mana, and you lose Living Flame, you have the option, but you have better options in Disc and Resto Druid, which is why it's an A tier. It's still really good, it's just there's better options. You also don't really bring much in terms of utility, because the DPS Mage is probably just going to bring that. Whatever you like, Arcane Intellects really. And Mana Food, but it is not too much that you bring in comparison to Disc Priest and Resto Druid. So because of that, you're an A tier. In our B tier, we're going to be having our Resto Shaman. And let me just double check this because we had already done this. Holy Priest and Holy Paladin. Just to clarify, by the way, these tier lists have been made over days, and I've been consulting my guild. If we go to Warcraft logs and we go to the Season of Discovery section and we scroll down to our Speed All-Stars, you will see that we are actually, this is the guild that I consulted with, by the way, when making this tier list. We are ranked 5th in terms of speed, and we are ranked, as it wants to load, we're like 11th, I think, 12th. Ranked 12th in terms of execution. So we're not just some randoms making this tier list. I say we because, again, I built this with my guild over multiple days, and we've done a ton of research on this, and this is the results that we have found. By the way, if you are enjoying this tier list, please make sure you subscribe, like, share the video with your friends, make sure everybody knows this is the information. But for now, let's get back into the tier list. We're going to go back into Resto Shaman. So if you have seen a lot of my previous videos, you'll know that Shaman isn't necessarily a thing I know a ton about, because I play Alliance, and it's a horde. And we're pretty much going to go based on what I've heard it's going to be like, as well as just looking at the runes. But in terms of the runes that it is getting, it's going to be our waist and our boot slot. You get Power Word Surge, which is honestly a measly 5% chance. But I mean, when it procs, it's going to be really nice to get that free instant spell. But you also additionally regenerate mana equal to 15% of your ints every 5 seconds, which is really nice for mana regen. Not much in terms of healing, but really good in terms of mana regen. In terms of the feat slot, we get Ancestral Awakening, which is going to really help with our single target healing, but not much with our chain heal, which is really the reason that you're going to be bringing a Resto Shaman as chain heal. That they get a level 40 is going to be great. Also, at the end of the talent tree, they get Menatide Totem in Nature's Swiftness. So in terms of healing, they're going to be really good. They're going to be able to have pretty much enough mana for the entire fight. They're going to have pretty good single target healing as well. So why are they in the B tier? Well, they're at the top of the B tier, and they're really close to getting to A tier, and the main reason why is they don't really bring much damage. You can spam Chain Lightning, you can do whatever you want in terms of like LE damage or auto attack and stuff. So you do have damage, but in terms of the casted spells, you're wasting mana on that instead of being able to use it for healing, and your autos aren't going to do very much. So because of that, you're in B tier, because the other classes just do it better, as Resto Druid does it literally for free. Arcane Mage does it to heal, and it doesn't really cost Disc very much to do it, as well as Disc's main job is being that main healer, and that's really what you're competing with, and Disc currently just does it better. So because of that, you are in B tier. Perfectly viable, just not preferred. Next up, we have the Holy Priest, which some were predicting was going to be very good. It's going to be decent in dungeons, I've heard, because you have our Smite reduction, increase damage to Smite. You also have Holy Nova. Improved Prayer of Healing is really nice. You get Spirit of Redemption. You get Light Will. Very nice for healing. In terms of our rune slots, we're obviously going to take our normal runes that we take as always, and for our new ones, again, Empowered Renew And you have the option of Dispersion and Pain Suppression like Disc, but now you also have the option of Spirit Redeemer, which was 30 seconds, but now it's 10 seconds. It's not as nearly as good. And because we don't really know the cooldown on this, I assume it's going to be probably once per fight. And you get 10 seconds of free healing, but you can't move, you can't be damaged or whatever. It's going to be a nice defensive, but we don't know if there's any time where you're really going to use this where it's like, oh, 10 seconds of like free healing is going to be massive, when it's not really a healing increase. It just makes it so you reduce your damage, or sorry, you reduce your, reduce your damage, but also reduce the mana that you're spending. It's not massive. And you also aren't really bringing the utility that a Disc Priest is bringing in: Power Infusion, Divine Spirit, Improved Fort, Improved Power Word Shield. You just aren't bringing that. You're bringing some nice heals, but again, you aren't bringing the utility of a Disc Priest. And because of that, Disc Priest is just better, and Holy Priest is in B tier. Again, it's not terrible. That's why it's in B tier, but it's not nearly your best option. And last but not least, we have Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin is, for what it is made for, is definitely getting better in this phase. More than likely, I really don't know which one of these you're going to pick. If you can go Sheath the Light, and then that's kind of nice. It means you're melee weaving while you're not doing healing. It becomes a melee healer, as it is kind of like in retail. It's kind of interesting. It makes your critical healing spells to the target for 60% of the health amount over 12 seconds. It adds a little kind of hot. It's very interesting. Except for that, Holy Paladins don't really do a ton of damage, but sure, Blizzard. What is really cool about Holy Paladin, though, is you get Sacred Shield, which I think is going to be busted, except more than likely Prot Paladins are going to be taking this in terms of progression. Prot Paladins have the Guarded of Light or Sacred Shield, depending if they want to be more offensive or defensive. So there really isn't a reason to bring Holy Paladin specifically for Sacred Shield. If you don't know what it does, pretty much every 6 seconds, it gives them about a 500 damage shield and increases their chance to critically hit with Flash of Light by 50% for up to 6 seconds. In addition, it pretty much puts a hot on them that does a second as Flash of Light. It also lasts 30 seconds, and it's really cracked. However, I see no reason why you would bring a Holy Priest for this when a Prot Paladin could literally just put it on them themselves and heal themselves. Because if they're tanking, healing themselves is going to generate threat still, and they're still going to do their job. There's no reason to bring only a Holy Paladin for this. In terms of the tree, it's single target. It's going to be better, just like Arcane is going to eventually be better when the raid size gets bigger. And I think it's going to be cracked with Sacred Shield too. It's going to be really good when it gets there. However, right now, it's a 10-man raid environment. It's just not suited for the environment. And its real competitor is going to be Arcane Mage, who is obviously doing a heck of a lot more damage than a Holy Paladin, because they're both pretty much single target right now. I'm going to bring the Arcane Mage over a Holy Paladin, because it's literally doing damage to heal, while a Holy Paladin gets Sheath the Light, sure, but like, they aren't really doing a ton of damage. And currently, you want to have good heals and good damage, because you're competing with a Resto Druid, competing with a Disc Priest, you're competing with an Arcane Mage, and you just don't bring anything. This is why they're at the bottom of the B tier. If you're really just struggling in terms of healing, and it's like a single target healing issue, then yeah, Holy Paladin looks pretty nice, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case for Nomaron. So this is the tier list for healers for Phase 2, based on all of the rune additions that we've been data mining, all of the updates to classes before Phase 2 releases. Obviously, if you look at time, it's pretty much tomorrow. It's going to be really fun. I plan on going all the way to 40 and clearing Nomagon before going to bed. It's going to be really fun. If you have anything you would like to say in the comments, go ahead and leave a comment below. If you disagree, again, leave a comment below. I'll try to reply. If you liked the video, go ahead and make sure you subscribe. hit the like button, share it with your friends, spread it around. I'd like to get to 1,000 subs as soon as possible. That would be great. Yeah,